Greeting fellow students. This week we were assigned a number of case studies by Dr. Goodman. I think the great thing about all four of these studies is that they were not imaginary ways to implement sustainable tourism. Instead, they were case studies, they were actual destinations, actual tourism businesses that have implemented different instruments and tools to work towards sustainability. I guess it's for this reason that the first question Dr. Goodman posed, to kind of select our first two, or our favorite two case studies was kind of difficult to me. It was kind of like having four children and picking your two favorites. So instead, I'm going to kind of discuss the two that I think I could apply probably towards my career as an educator, and then also maybe towards my applied project for our Master's in Sustainable Tourism that I'll be doing this summer. The two that I thought were, I guess, most applicable for me. The first case study I chose was the impacts of sustainable tourism, the best practices in Costa Rica. What I enjoyed about the case study was the fact that they utilize a specific tool to measure sustainability, and they used this tool. It was actually Rainforest Alliance's best management practices, BMP they called it. And they utilized this tool at 5 different Costa Rican hotels. What I appreciated was that they looked kind of at the areas of kind of solid waste, energy use, water contamination. They looked also at social, environmental education. The unique thing is that they did a kind of a pre-test. So they looked at where these hotels were before they implemented the best management practice training. And at that time, before any of the training, I believe on average, the hotels were about 4.5 out of a 10-point scale. So 10 was kind of the highest they could get. So they were kind of in the middle of the pack. After the training, they kind of did that post-assessment, and they saw that on average, the hotels were up to almost about 8 out of 10. I think it was 7.8 exactly. I think that this really proves that utilizing benchmarking that we talked about, I think in last unit, and setting goals can really assist a company's triple bottom line. In comparison, when we looked at innovations for sustainable tourism, that was the international case studies. I thought, again, really well written. I said that kind of in my intro. They gave us an array of cases, which to me kind of can get a little bit overwhelming. So for my professional development, I appreciated the case studies specifically on Costa Rica. For my learning style, I know for my students, it's a little bit easier to kind of get a little bit more in depth than looking at multiple case studies and multiple examples. Also, I think for my kind of professional development, this article was great because next semester it'll actually be approved in a couple weeks. I am going with students to Costa Rica, so I'm developing a sustainable tourism class in Costa Rica. So this article is just a wealth of information for me. It'll be a great learning tool for myself and my students. The second case study that I chose to highlight is Working with Communities, a guide to tourism for tourism operators. Again, what I really enjoyed was the emphasis on triple bottom line, right from the beginning. Tourism Queensland really dismissed that belief that sustainability is a cost to a business. I think we can all remember in week 1 when Willard kind of talked about that skepticism that many businesses have, that whole grow or go mentality. Tourism Queensland really provided us with evidence that sustainability can not only provide those social and environmental benefits, however, it can greatly assist with economic measures such as jobs, economic diversification, so diversifying your economy, your local economy, increasing infrastructure improvements and development as well. Additionally, the case emphasized on how working in a community and preserving the environment brings many tangible benefits. It talks about how 2/3 of people want their travel agents to talk about how these businesses are improving the environment and supporting local economies. This is further evidence that today's travelers are demanding more social and responsible, friendly measures from the businesses that they're giving their money to. Lastly, I really appreciated the case study, how it lays out 7 steps to socially responsible tourism. This is really an easy tool that I think that many destinations and tourism businesses can utilize. In comparison, I thought Traveler's Philanthropy Handbook by Crest was also a great publication. Had many great cases, stories on how tourism businesses and travelers can assist in giving back to the destination's host community. For me, it was a valuable tool to share with my students and also myself, especially when we're traveling to Costa Rica. However, to me, a little overwhelming. Again, a lot of information, a lot of authors, a lot of stories and cases. Therefore, kind of like my first response, I enjoyed the focus of one destination. In this case, I liked the Queensland story, as I mentioned previously, versus that multiple destination approach. With that being said, thoroughly enjoyed reading Chapter 3 on volunteerism, and the 4 cases that went along with that. I'm hoping to do a study abroad course in 2020 with students around that theme of volunteerism. So again, this is going to assist me. It's going to assist my students. So in closing, and this is already over 5 minutes, my apologies. This week's material was really a wealth of information. I enjoyed each reading. It's currently assisting me in my role as a hospitality and tourism educator in the classroom. Also, all of the information that Dr. Goodman's provided, the secondary research is really going to help me with my applied project this summer. I look forward to any comments or questions that you post on, my assessment of this week. And additionally, I look forward to reading all of your views, your takeaways from this week's unit. So take care, everyone. See you next unit.